Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Carla from MindPlore with Carla and Friends, and we are here to speak about compassion. I have, hopefully, Neville will get here. He's having some connection issues, but I do have Canute here, and I have Ozma. And I believe that this panel knows a lot about compassion and love for the world. And to me, compassion means having the kindness for someone when that person is not at their best. Someone may say something very mean to you, and you may feel, oh my gosh, why are you saying that? I don't want to have anything to do with you. But taking a few moments to kind of listen to that and hear that the person is saying, hey, I am in pain. I need a friend. I need help. And that to me is what compassion is. I know at times I miss it because I want to go fast and get something done. I think we all miss it at times. But I think we need to work more diligently on being compassionate, on being loving to others, and being caring. And having said that, I'd like Canute to start us off with his feelings on compassion. Please.
Hello, everyone. I have Latin in my background, so I'm always looking into what is the original meaning of compassion and the words. And compassio means literally to suffer with someone. It's much stronger than just having empathy. It's really that you go into the other, so to say. If you feel the other's pain, you go into it, you share it in a very profound way. That is compassion. And at the same time, I want to say that because I have experienced that myself too, that often we talk about compassion with the other, the world, other people. But maybe the most challenging is to have compassion with ourselves.
Please slow down when you're speaking. There are people here from other languages who may not hear you because you are speaking so quickly.
Okay.
Remember, when you are on this show, you need to speak slowly so they can hear the words.
Yeah. So, okay, just to follow up that, I say that the most challenging is often to have compassion with ourselves. And compassion is also, passion. It's the same word. It's both suffering, but it's also to be passionate. So for me, it's also, to have compassion is also to have this inner joy, to feel the
Excuse
joy.
me, can you do me a favor and also define what you mean by passion? Because sometimes when someone from another area hears that word, they don't understand what it means.
Right.
Okay. Thank you. I don't mean to interrupt. I want
It's okay.
I
Okay.
want them to hear it.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Okay. Yeah, if we talk about the passion, it's this maybe the strongest feeling we can feel. We talk about a passionate love. We can talk about a passionate, even a feeling, a passionate feeling. It's a very strong feeling. That is passion. So when I have compassion with another person suffering, okay, then it's a very strong feeling. That it's like we share the same feeling. So it's about the same as in this is the biblical sense of that is that we share the joy with another, and we share the suffering with each other, and then we have this shared experience, so the other feel that we have that kindness you mentioned in the beginning, Carla. We are kind to each other. We share both the suffering and we share the joy with each other.
So, can you explain what you mean by compassion? Go stronger and more in depth about compassion. What is compassion to you, and how do you express it in the world?
Then I may tell you, I'll share a story I had two days ago. I'm living now in a house with 6, 7 other people from all over the world. And then we had a visitor. It was the girlfriend of one of the inhabitants here. And we come into a very deep conversation. And I really could feel her. It was like, I felt a kindred soul. And she was suffering in her own way. And I felt this deep, deep feeling that, okay, yes, I see you, I read you, I am here for you. And she started even to cry when we had finished that conversation. So for me, it is this very, profound, deep encounter and meeting with another person. We share, I have this deep feeling that we share something together, as I say, whatsoever it is suffering or is it a joy. We share it. And that is magic. It touches each other's hearts.
Okay, Asma, do you want to talk about compassion and how you see it in the world, in yourself, with your family? Please.
Yeah, I think it is the strongest emotion that human have. And if you want to be happy, there's a quote: if you want to be happy, just be a little more compassionate. So it's actually compassion is we can how we can compassion is actually gives you happiness, makes you feel happy. How, like, what is compassion? If we simply define it, for me compassion is to understand other people's feeling, to understand the other people, like what they are feeling. uh, they are right now, they are in this condition, why, and to relate yourself with them. This is compassion for me. And what would happen, like, if you have not that feeling, if you have not that compassion, what would happen generally? You have a then you get a lot of grudge, you get a lot of other assumptions about other people's. And what happened with that assumptions, that assumption basically from inside they hurt, these assumptions hurt you, hurt, just give you pain and hurt. Like, why this person say, as Carla was saying before, why this person says this to me, why she is just like with me. And when you continually keep thinking this without thinking about her condition, you were just like, she's only wrong with me, she's only wrong with me, and that's not fair. But if you use the compassion behavior, and then you think, and then you can relate, like, might be she is right now in a pain, and I don't know, she's in a different condition, she's in a different situation. So I think I shouldn't be think wrong. I should relate myself with them. And when you relate, basically there are a lot of assumptions, there are a lot of misconceptions just gonna finish, and you connect with that person. Then you doesn't ask that person why you're doing this. Actually, you let's solve together. But you said let's solve the matter together, and this has happened a lot of time. Uh, Simply like we usually judge people's behavior, like why they are doing like this. This is not fine. But when you relate the condition and situation of that person, and then you find out, if I am at that position, might be I would behave just like that person. Might be, and even in the past, I behaved like this. So this is not there is not wrong with this person. There is wrong with the situation. So we need to change the situation. We need to handle the situation together. We need to support each other. And I think this is the beautiful thing. When we support each other, then there are a lot of problems, a lot of situations is gonna finish, gonna start it down, and people live happiness. Otherwise, what happens? You are just in your own mood, and the other person is also suffering. So the whole world is just suffering. The whole world is just suffering and suffering without this emotion. And I think this is the strongest, beautiful emotion that we need to use, and we need to relate with the people. And when we relate and we get out that we all are same, and we just need to help each other. And when you help each other, basically, I think with compassion is the one is the behavior. Because of that, I made a lot of friends. I made a lot of friends because at the first, there are a lot of people said the first impression is the last impression. I don't believe in, because for me this doesn't happen. For me, there are a lot of my friends whose first impression is not good. Even my first impression was not good. But when we discuss, when we connect with each other with compassion, and we use this behavior, and then they become my best friend, and we are together, and we discuss the things together. I think this is just a beautiful, and this is the compassion gives you the happiness. It's make the world beautiful.
Okay, compassion isn't actually an emotion, it's a way of reacting to someone. And I know when you use emotion, you're using that word differently than we do in the United States. That's fine. I looked up compassion on Google while you were talking, just so we have a common ground of what we are talking about. And the meaning of compassion is actually a noun, just like my name, Carla, is a name, girl is a noun, a name is a noun, a name, a noun is just what a thing is. It names a thing, a place, or a person. So when you are thinking of compassion, it's actually sympathetic pity and concern for the sufferings or misfortunes of others. Now, here they're talking about others, but we should also consider compassion a part of ourselves and being kind to ourselves. We're not always that. We look at our mistakes and we say, oh, I made a mistake, and we get mad at ourselves. That is not, it's not even needed to happen, because we forget that when we make a mistake, it's because we didn't know. And we're learning, oh, I did something wrong. So instead of feeling mean or angry with ourselves, we can actually think, oh, I made a mistake, learn from it, move forward. We look at someone else who may say, hey, you don't look good today. You look really mean. I've had that happen on the English show. When I'm going at someone for making a mistake, I go pretty hard at times. But then I explain to them, we need to make mistakes, because when we make mistakes, that is when we're learning. So compassion spreads not only from ourselves, being kind to ourselves, but it also means being kind to other people. I hope you guys share this out to your friends and family, because somehow notifications are not going out for MindPlore. Someone told me that the other day. They have no idea when MindPlore is on. So back to what I was saying about compassion. So let's look at compassion from the viewpoint of when we were looking at someone else. Someone who was homeless. Someone may go by and see a homeless person and say, oh, that person doesn't even want to find a job. He just wants to sit there and beg for money. That's not necessarily true. It may be the situation in the moment, and we're not aware of it because we haven't sat and spoken to anyone. I'm not saying you stop at every beggar and give them $5. No, no, no. But what I'm saying is being a little more compassionate, a little more understanding of what another person may need, what another person may want. Is that clearer for you guys to put us on the same page of this topic? Because it's very important that we are on the same page, or we're just talking and we're throwing out thoughts, and no one knows where these thoughts are going or how they're going. So I'm going to go back to Knut after hearing what I had to say, and have him talk a little about compassion and the site, using this as a reference. I'm not expecting you to come and say exactly what I said. In fact, I hope you say something different. But at least right now, we're getting back on track. And I was so busy trying to get this out that I didn't put us on the track that we needed to be on. So, Knut, it's all yours.
When you mentioned
one more thing. Everyone here speaks a different first language. And I forget that at times. So the meaning of words can be different. They can be different even if we are speaking the same language. But if we're speaking different languages, it makes it even more challenging. Okay, Knut, it's all yours.
My first association, Carla, to what you say is, of course, that compassion is a part of unconditional love, and to love ourselves and to love other people. At the same time, of course, compassion in itself is, for me at least, first of all, maybe that it's something greater than myself. That we have compassion with the world, we have compassion with each other, we have compassion. And then it's also about speaking my truth. Compassion, if that is unconditional love, then it's much more about speaking the truth. Sometimes we talk about compassion as it's just a feeling. No, it's not. Because if we unconditionally love something, or we are really passionate, we have those deep feelings about something, then we speak the truth. And that is both the motherly, so to say, it's both the motherly and fatherly approach to that situation. So to have compassion with the world, it's not just to, oh, I feel so deeply with you, or I suffer together with you, or it is really to stand up for ourselves, for what we believe in, and then to speak what we feel about that topic. It's about poverty, as you said, the homeless, whatsoever. Because I agree with you, Carla. I really reflected on that, because you feel often you have bad conscience if you go past, a homeless person and they sit there begging for something, and then you feel that, oh, I should have given something. It takes more courage to say that, no, this is not my way of showing the compassion. What is my way? And I've been working with alcoholics and drunk people and so on. So I know that, no, sometimes they need to have a very direct, compassionate message. This is it, because sometimes compassion is to set some limits for each other, so we can feel safe. We invite them into a open, tolerant field so they feel safe. We don't judge them. Compassion is not about judging, but it's the same time about speaking the truth to each other. To say, yes, this is true. And when we speak truth with this unconditional love, then the other don't feel judged, maybe reacting, of course, because it's to take the truth can be hard. But this kind of compassion that is both opening up without judging, at the same time have the courage to speak the truth as I see it, without saying this is the truth, this is the answer. That is up to the other. But to invite each other into this compassionate field where everyone can feel safe, feel loved, and then share whatsoever the topic might be in that context. That is for me compassion.
Okay, Asma, can you define it now again? Do you understand it better now of where I'm going and the point that I'm attempting to bring out?
Yeah, that's fine. As you said, it's actually it's emotion like the other emotions, but for me it's more than emotion. For me it's a behavior. Uh, like you feel something, that's fine. We feel then after feeling how you behave and how you react. For me that's most important, and that's actually the thing. Like you feel, that's fine. Now how you will respond and how you will behave, that's matter. And as Kanu said, I think that's he really beautifully defined. That's really exactly, that's true. And compassion, as you said, we also need to be compassionate with the people, with that also with your own self, because you also need some kind, you also need a kind behavior, you also need some kindness for your own self. Like when you do the mistakes, when you do not reach the target where you want to reach, and you feel bad, actually you feel you hurt yourself, like why I'm not good enough. And there you actually need the compassion. Like might be I wouldn't reach at that point because of some things. I tried my best, but yet something happened. Don't worry, I will try next time with much more efforts, and we will gain that thing which we want to. This is the compassion behavior that you always need with yourself on, because we all do mistakes, people also do mistakes, but if you stick with the mistakes why we are doing this, then you can't move forward. There we all need some kind of forgiveness, we need some kind of kind behavior with ourselves and with also for the other people. Like it happens now, we don't have enough time to just waste our life for the mistakes that we have done. Now we have done that, learn from them, and now move forward. This is what you need from the life. Like, yeah, when we talk about compassion, uh, we need to be compassionate with people, we need to be compassionate with the universe, with the things we have, even with the things that are not living things, that are non-living things. We need to be compassionate with that, because they are providing us some facility. The mobile phone, the laptop, the a lot of things. They are also playing an important role in our life. So we also need to be compassionate with them. Sometimes we also need some kind behavior with them, with all of the things. But with that, I think it, as Carla said, it's emotion. So every emotion and every behavior is good when it's in the balanced state, when it's in the equilibrium. Don't be too, and when it can gonna reach the extreme, like it's not, it's up the balanced level, then even it's the good emotion, it's not okay. From my point of view, you should be compassionate, but not too much, like you are just denying some reality. You are denying your own self and destroying the things. Like we said, we need to save this world, we need to save this universe, but on the other side, this universe is also made for humans to use it, to get the advantage from that. So there is a balance. We also need to save it, but on the other side, we also need to use it. How we need to use it, that's important. So we should be compassionate with ourselves, with the people, with a balance. And this is the emotion. Because of that emotion, you relate yourself as a human with all the other people. And it's a beautiful emotion. That's actually, for me, that actually connect us. Because I always, whenever I feel something wrong about even myself and even about others, when I try to relate, when I add some kind of little kindness in myself, and when I relate that, then I think, yeah, might be the situation would be not what I'm thinking. Situation would be different, and then I feel calm and things go now okay. Oh,
Okay, another thing about compassion is that it is something that we all need to practice. It's not an emotion, it's a reaction to an emotion. And Asma, did we lose you? You look frozen. Okay, you'll figure it out. Um, so when we are talking about being compassionate, let me give you an example. You're walking down the street and you see a dog just looking very hungry and very needy. Someone who has compassion may pick that dog up and take him to a vet to see what's happening. If you're walking down the street and you see someone who fell, someone not compassionate may just walk past that person as if they didn't see them. But someone with some compassion may go and help that person get up, see if that person is doing well. So we're talking about using compassion in the world and how you see the world. And I'd like to know what Knut has to say about that. Asma will be back. She froze.
Yeah, I feel again that what we talk about now is more like the behavior, also compassion as a behavior. How do we behave to each other? How do I behave to myself? And it reminds me again, we talk about community, compassion, and is about this shared field. It's in something I share. And then when I see, a homeless dog, as you say, or homeless being, or I see people who are starving, people, children who are abused. I mean, I can feel it physically. And sometimes I think also, it's not just like an emotion or feeling in itself, but it affects my behavior because I react, as you said, I react in a specific way, and it leads to action. So compassion is not just about the reaction in itself, but it is a kind of reaction that leads to action. But again, that action, if it's true compassion and not just a feeling, then it should be also at the same time from a perspective, is this right for me? Is this a situation I should take part in? Because otherwise I can burn myself out. Compassion, and sometimes I feel that many people, they misunderstand. They feel that they really have to do this or that, but it's not rooted in their own, what do you call it, your true self. And if it's not you, then you act out from some external influence instead of acting from inside out. So compassion is also to act from inside out and to create this relationship that led the other, whatsoever, is an animal or a human being, whatsoever, they feel that they are a part of me, and I feel that I am a part of them. So compassion is a very deep and very important component in building community. Without compassion, then everything is just be structures, orders, regulations, but there's no heart in it. So compassion is to put our heart into community building as well. How do we create a world with peace? How do we create a world to collaborate? Who do we create a community that works together in a way that opens up the best within every human being? So compassion is also to open each other up.
When you're talking about compassion, and as I was saying before, compassion for ourselves, compassion, I think, starts with compassion within. And I know that I have difficulty being compassionate to myself at times. What do you do to help yourself be more compassionate to others, Knut?
Yeah.
Not to others, not to others, but to yourself. So you can go out into the world and those around you and be compassionate. I feel that when I am not nice or not friendly to another person, I'm really not being friendly to myself. There's something wrong within me that I need to take care of in order to be more kind to another person. I hope I'm being clear.
Yeah, I so agree with you, Carla. And I have really struggled with that myself, how to be compassionate with myself, because I have understood that if I can be a role model in that I love myself in a natural way, then other people will sense that I am in my true self, my genuine self, allow myself. And I said that before, that I even now can accept that I can be angry, that I am bad, that I'm not, complete and perfect. And to do that, I have worked a lot with that, writing, reflecting, meditating, discussing it with other people. There are many ways we can open up for the compassionate in ourselves, our compassion towards ourselves. And I think this is so important. Otherwise, I say again, it can be an external action. We believe ourselves that this compassion, but maybe it's just a projection of what we feel we should do. And then it's an obligation. It's not, and compassion for me is something that is coming from a true, pure heart. It's not because I should do this or that. And that is also related to how I treat myself. Because if I all the time feel you have to be a good boy, you have to act like this, or you have to do this or that in order to be accepted, and say no. And I learned now to see more no. So sometimes compassion towards myself is that I say, no, Knut, this is not your table. Sometimes that is true. So there are these two sides of the table, so to say. The one side is now, yes, this is my table. This is my responsibility. The other side of the table is, no, this is not your table. And to distinguish what is my purpose, what is my mission, what is my task, and what is my skill even, and competence in a situation like this. So yes, I at least I say I have been through a lot of experiences, of course, and I condemn myself because sometimes I'm a perfectionist. And perfectionists, they are very vulnerable for accusing themselves. I'm sure you also know that, Carla, that we expect so much from ourselves that is not our true natural self, and we let other people define who we are, and then we lose that compassion, and when we lose compassion with ourselves, as you said, then we can pretend compassion with other people, but it's not. It's just action, reaction. It's not this unleashing, is liberating. For me, compassion is also liberating. When I control myself, compassion, it's like I start to breathe again. Something is taken off my back. It's freedom.
Do you feel that we as adults are teaching children to be compassionate, or are we teaching children to be more involved with themselves and only concerned with themselves?
I'm a teacher, Carla. So I think it is a combination. Sometimes it's a misunderstanding that children are only innocent and good. We know that no, and we have a lot of stories now that they are bullying each other, and it's not that just good children. So we need to learn them and to teach them. To teach them both the self-love, because I'm sure that when children they are taught that you are good enough in yourself, then the compassion comes naturally, because we are so conditioned, so we forget it. But the children, they are much more open, so to say, both of the good and the bad. But then it also means that when we teach them or help them, guide them to love themselves from who they truly are, and that is, from my perspective, one of the big problems we have now, that we teach children something that they don't need in order to first to find their own true self. And when they find their own true self and we help them to that, instead of learning a lot of things that they never will, they don't need, then it starts a natural process. And when they start that natural process and learn to love themselves, of course, it's also easier to be generous towards other children as well. So we need to create an environment. So this compassion expands and grows naturally. From my opinion, no. From what I have seen, both teaching children and adults, no, we haven't created that environment. So again, we can see that we need to create an environment for compassion.
And how do you propose creating that environment?
First of all, I think that we need to understand, as said, that a man is not an island. A human being is not an island. We have a culture that is built on this individualism. And for me, this next renaissance, as I talk about, that is the reconnection between this collective and the individual. So somehow, I think that we need to understand that an ecosystem where this compassion is the component. We can both say that compassion is the heart in this future community building. So to create that environment, we need to understand the principles. It's like a study in itself. How does a natural ecosystem function? How does nature operate in a natural ecosystem? And we don't know now, because now we have more this hierarchy, and then everything is coded, everything is so. This should everything be, but in ecosystem it's much more natural growth and expansion, and we learn to understand that we are interdependent. We are dependent on each other. We are all interconnected, and we haven't really been taught about that. That's why we see this separation. So in my context, we talk about how do we create a new infrastructure, a new community that is also, to understand this ecology, the ecology of natural growth of who we really are, and that is the first step to create that kind of environment. And of course, then we need to find the right people who do understand these ecological principles for how we relate to each other. And then we can start to structure it. So that is my purpose now too. How do we create the optimal environment for this compassion and for this new consciousness, that we know more and more that everything is interconnected. We are interconnected with nature. Nature, we are nature. Every human being on this planet, we are interconnected. So somehow it is also about, these borders between people. Now, this new worldview, so to say, is to create a world without boundaries. A world without boundaries. We are not just a lot of tribes and the separate groups and nations. We are one group. I think so. Let's start with this understanding of how this works, and then we can start to structure it and put it into practice.
How are we so interconnected? I agree we are interconnected, but how is this interconnection made? Is it, I never met you in person. We've met through the internet. And yes, we've been interconnected all our lives. What is it that connects us?
From my perspective, that is really impressive. I'm so fascinated, because we, of course, I mentioned that before, but one of my major topics here for now is conscious pairing. I don't mean just on the romantic level, but on the professional level. It means that we very consciously connect with each other. We connect with kindred spirits, because in order to create something new, we need support. And to get that support, we need to meet people. And in this shift that we are in the midst of now, we need to meet people on a global level. And that's why I don't misunderstand me, but this pandemic has somehow, the positive effects of the pandemic has been that we have started to realize and to experience how we can connect on a global level with people we never have met physically, as you said, but it has to be conscious. And how to do that conscious? That is not because of a background of a CV. It's more that we recognize the energy in each other. And then we can talk about, like reading the emotional state of the other. And when we do that, then it's more like the chemistry. In the 80s, I worked in the advertising agency, and it was always this, we could never really be creative and innovative if we didn't have the chemistry in the team. So for me, this has a lot to do with that kind of chemistry. And that is not that, yes, but you have a long experience and background as a copywriter, or as a creative. No, because you can have a lot of competence and insight and knowledge, but you don't fit together because the energy is not there. We don't have the compassion. We don't have this joy of working together. So then when we start now, and that is what I see, because now I have conversations, as I said, with people from all over the world. And we start more and more to share. We do understand that, okay, we are different, but that is this differences in we have the same overall vision. We have the same passion, and we share it, and then we say, okay, how can we work together? And another person, Simon Sinek, also says, don't ask for what and why and when. Start with who. And that is for me related to what I say here now. Sense who are people who lift you up. Because if we feel unsafe and insecure, how can we give each other compassion? Because every one of us, we start to defend ourselves instead of opening up. So we need to create this environment of neutral safety and even kindness. We have this kindness. We really want from the bottom of our heart the best for you, Carla. I love what you do. My God, what you are doing, what you are, sacrificing even. I know that for this forum. Yeah.
You still did not answer the question. I appreciate the words you said, But the question is, what is it that connects us? What makes the world go around? What is that one thing that connects us together?
Yeah, the short answer on that is for me recognition. I see you.
No, you're not.
No,
Maybe I'm not expressing the
no.
connection. There is one thing in this world that connects us all together, that we all do and we all share. What is it? Because that is what makes us a one world family. What is it? Do you know?
Okay, of course, I have reflected on that a lot. And what I can come up with, the only thing, because we talk about culture and all that kind of stuff,
No.
it's not about, no, but that's what I say, that is not. So what we share, the only thing we really share is life itself.
And what is life?
Yeah, I think again, it's about, how we, um,
What is that one thing in the world that we all do every day?
no, it's about a lot of things I would say.
No, think for a moment. You know the answer to this. There is one thing that we all share in the world every day, every minute, whether we've ever met or not, we share it.
Yeah, I just ask you again what you meant, because then I can follow up. What is your answer on that?
You don't know. What is one thing you do every day, many, many times a minute?
Yeah, I'm feeling, I'm thinking.
No, beyond that.
Yeah, but I'm curious, Carla. I'm just curious what you mean with that. It'll be, okay,
No.
when you say it, when you tell me, I'm sure I will know, of course. But
You don't know that everyone in the world breathes the same air?
yeah,
Does that connect us all together?
yeah, that's what I mean with life. Because the life is breathing.
So what I was asking,
Yeah.
Canute, and again, it's because we don't listen to each other clearly. What is life? Life is one thing. Is it consciousness? Is it the air we breathe? What is it that we all have in common? I don't care if you're pink, black, white, or purple. We all have one thing in common.
Yeah, at least that is the breathing in itself.
Right. And that's the basis of all life.
Yeah, or I would rather say the opposite way. Life is breathing. Life is breathing. So life is breathing in us and through us.
Right. When a baby takes his or her first breath, life begins.
Yeah.
And you keep doing that all every day, every moment in your life.
Yeah.
And with that, we have really come to the end of the show. I want to thank you, Canute, for coming. Asma lost connection. Neville couldn't get connected. So thank you for being here today, Neville. I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope you shared it out to your network, because for some reason people are not getting notifications of this show. So if you don't share out and I don't share out and no one shares out, no one knows we are here. So we need to do that when we first come on air. The first thing you do is to do that. because otherwise no one knows we're here. Having said that, let's wave goodbye, and we will be back again on Thursday with another edition of MindPlore, and we'll be talking about compassion again. Bye, everyone.